There's so many. It's hard. It's really hard to narrow it down. I guess you know, I think we're kind of all hardwired with a lot of voices in our head, right? Whether it's parents or societal expectations or cultural expectations. And I think that a lot of times we kind of forget what it is that we like and what we want. So I think one thing that I would suggest is that people take the opportunity to check in from time to time and make sure that you are actually enjoying what you're doing,
Mm,
because you spend so much time in your work life that if you are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, it's not going to be easy. You're going to feel like you're constantly swimming upstream. I guess other things, more pragmatic things, a little bit less philosophical, would be, always be prepared, but never really be afraid to ask questions. I think it's much better to admit that you don't know something and to seek guidance and to ask questions than it is to try and pretend. I used to always say when I was managing people, it's much easier for me to prevent you from getting into trouble than it is for me to dig you out of trouble once you've gotten yourself there. Um, I would also stress the importance of networking. I think it's very important to have mentors and folks that you can reach out to and bounce ideas off of. I also always say that, a lot of times it's who you know that gets you in the door in the first place, even though it's what you know that will ultimately either keep you there or not keep you there. I tend to be very introverted, and so that is one of the elements of professional life that I struggle with. But I force myself to do it because it really is very, very important. I mean, so many of the jobs that I've had, so many of the opportunities that I've had have come through people I know, as opposed to, you know, postings or things of that nature. So
absolutely.
definitely, which I guess brings me to another point of advice, which is, and it's kind of related to the first thing I was talking about. It's important to keep your mind open to possibilities, and to not be too narrow in your thinking. I'm doing things now that I never would have imagined that I would be doing, with people that I never really knew before. CMBS was a very small insular industry, and I spent decades in that industry surrounded by many of the same people. And when I decided to leave Crescent, um, and get after I, decided I was going to try and re-engage and get back into the industry, um, it sometimes I guess it's not about changing the message, but about changing the audience. Like I found that I was connecting with a lot of the people that I knew for a very long time and ending up with nothing. And when I started to sort of branch out, for instance, beyond the New York centric community, right? New Yorkers think they're at the center of the universe. And it's an awakening sometimes to realize that there's a whole big world out there outside of New York. So, I think it's just being open to trying new things, meeting new people, and not being afraid to venture outside of your comfort zone.